will be in North Brunswick, New Jersey for the 11th stop on the National Team Challenge Bowling Series. This has been an ABC Eagle Productions telecast. Match in just a moment.
First lady bowler to make our telecast, and what a lady bowler she is. She's a future Hall of Famer. Her and her husband Kent, bowling on the team, they're going to have their hands full. They're going against Crusher R's, which is an Ebonite team led by great amateur player, 1992 Collegiate Player of the Year, Chris Barnes. Joe Vito's on the team, Danny Broadway, a very strong team. And they'll go against, the winner of that match goes against Thermocarbon, who had the misfortune to come up against Bob Hanley when he struck out in the 10th frame to beat them by 1 pin in one of our events in St. Petersburg, Florida. So we have a lot of experience on the show today. We've got a very exciting field and a lot of firsts.
In the first frame of the second game, Lisa Wagner up.
And this is why there's so much emotion in the Baker system. Lisa getting the team started, gets the big break of the match by crossing the head pin, tripping out the 5 and the 9, and it pumped up her team and got them started into a 4-bagger, and they just kind of ran away from Crusher.
Boy, did they ever, winning by 47 in that first match. And it's Wagner who will start again for Wagner Bowling Supplies, this time taking on Thermocarbon.
I was talking to her husband Kent before the first match. He said that they changed their lineup to put Lisa on top because she's their most accurate player, and they felt they could line up off her. So what does she do? She changes her angle on the approach and on the lane, plays the extreme outside angle, and completely confuses Kent and the rest of the team. Now she's moved back in. Now look at this. She's gone from playing the edge of the lane between the second and third arrow. Look at Kent. He's saying, what is she doing? They're all back there talking to each other.
Now what do we do?
Now what do we do?
They were following her lead in that first match. And after the 6th pin, no problem. And up for Thermocarbon, number 16 again. He'll bowl the 1st and the 6th frames in this Baker team format is Mario Angelini.
One of only 2 right-handers on the Thermocarbon team.
Well, you got to like this team then.
Well, I kind of like their chances. We're 3 left-handers. You got to. No. I think this could be a great match. We've got a team that has never had the opportunity to be here before and has a tremendous amount of television experience in the Wagner team. We have a team that had their tournament won and then ended up with a crushing blow when they lost by 1 pin when Bob Hanley struck out.
There's Larry Schaefer, the president-elect of ABC. Good to have him on hand here at the Peachtree Lanes in Atlanta. So each team opening with a spare, and here now is Tony Zanzarella.
I like that name. I like the way it sounds. It just sounds good. It just, Zanzarella. It just kind of rolls off your tongue.
That sounds pretty good too.
Yes, not only does his name roll off your tongue, but he rolls the ball extremely well for a strike for Wagner's team.
It should be Antonio Zanzarella.
There you go.
Huh?
Now here's the first of the 3 left-handers for the Thermocarbon team. Good solid approach, good balance at the foul line, and a nice heavy roll on the ball.
A couple of regional PBA titles to his credit, and the mixer works. So each team duplicating the other's efforts. And Kent Wagner up now.
Let's see if Kent's made a move. Since Lisa made a move, let's see if Kent did. No, he's pretty much playing where he did in the first match and getting about the same result. He never did really get lined up to the pocket in the first match, and this, the 9-10, not a difficult shot, and I would expect he will pick this up. Now all he's going to do is pretend he's shooting at a 1-pin spare, which would be the 6-pin, and if he picks that up, he'll pick up the 9-10.
You saw Gary Anderson there, the director of ABC. To the 9-10, yes, right between them. Splits the uprights.
And here's another look at it. Now the bowler uses the cross lane shot at this. Pretend the 6 pin's there. He would have hit it dead center, and that fits between the 9 and the 10.
Lenny Biondi misses on the 7 pin.
Left-handers have a little bit of an advantage here. Even though the lanes were freshly stripped and dressed before the telecast, the oil will move much more quickly on the right-hand side because there's more play there. So the left-hander shot will be more consistent. They'll have a better chance of hitting the pocket. Whether they can strike or not is another question.
Biondi with the spare. We are dead even through 3 frames of this championship match between Thermocarbon and Wagner Bowling Supplies. We'll return to the Peachtree Lanes in Atlanta in just a moment. Action, the top 3 qualifying for television here in the 9th spot, Tri-State Lanes from Chattanooga, Tennessee. Omaha Lancers, we've seen them before. They finished in the 8th spot. And Moorhead Eagles from Moorhead, Kentucky finished in the number 7 position. And now up for Wagner Bowling Supplies in the 4th frame is Wes Pye. This match is dead even.
Well, that one kind of got away from Wes. I don't think he expected to get the ball quite that wide. And you can see by his reaction there, he sent it a little bit too wide, got it out into the oil part of the lane where there's just no back end. This, not that difficult a shot. He wants the ball to cross the head pin. The ball will hit the head pin, which is the 1, the 2. The 2 should take out the 8.
It was interesting in our little meeting that we had with all the teams before the television finals. Wes Pye, the former director of the ladies tour, he was asking all the questions. You can tell he'd been there before.
That's right.
And now up for Thermocarbon, Brad Briggs.
And the 3rd lefty for Thermocarbon, and all 3 of the lefties hit the pocket. 2 strikes, 1 7 pin. Just thought I'd let you know that.
Well, yeah, I know.
Did you notice that?
Yeah.
You notice that? All 3 of the lefties hit the pocket there, Dave?
Mm-hmm. I noticed.
But again, they do have a slight advantage. The lane will not change as drastically for them as it will for the right-handers. And the variety of angles the right-handers are playing moves the oil around quite quickly.
Boy, it has definitely moved for Wagner Bowling Supplies. You've seen 2 or 3 of their team members a little bit high on that head pin.
And this, again, a very difficult spare. This is the 3, 6, 9, 10. Try to get the ball between the 3 and 6. The ball will take out the 9, and the 6 pin will take out the 10 pin. Here's a look at it. Coming right at you. Got to hurry. Perfect.
Ooh. Boy, that 9 just slides on out of there. So Wagner remains perfect here in this first game with a mark in each of the 5 frames.
Here's a pretty good release now. Here's a chance, our first look at, watch the rotation on this ball, folks. This young man can really rev it up. The only thing I don't like about his game is he tends to stand up very abruptly at the foul line, but he can really get a lot on the bowling ball. And when the lane condition fits his game, he can knock down a lot of pins.
Well, Todd was going to leave us, but he just went over to get his spare ball. And the easy spare for Todd Agee. There's Wayne McDaniel, our gracious host this week, the general manager here at Peachtree Lanes. Well, he and his staff have done a terrific job in getting this place ready.
Well, let's see where Lisa plays this time. She's been 3 or 4 different spots. She's still looking around here. You notice the rest of her team is watching her very closely.
Come on, get him started. Come on.
And she continues to fake them out, I think, Dave.
She's really searching, isn't she?
She is. She's really looking. This one right over the second arrow, as you can see. And I think that she kind of lost that one off her hand because it doesn't have the normal rotation she would have on the ball if she'd released it properly. And there's a look at her husband, Kent, saying, Lisa, you're the one we're counting on here, babe. Let's get it going. Tough spare here. She's going to try to cross the ball over the head pin and run it down the line. Let the ball go all the way down the line and take out the 7.
Is it tougher with the 4 gone?
Very much so.
Perfect.
She got it. She got the 2 pin to take out the 7. Here's a look at it. Watch the 2 pin bounce into the 7. That's perfect.
Wagner with 2 spares in her 2 frames.
They're filling the frames. The important thing in the Baker system, and we've talked about this before, is to fill frames. You must get marks. Let the other team make the mistakes and come back to you. But fill those frames. Strikes will come.
Mario Angelini with a 9 count on his first ball. And it's a 9-pin lead for Thermocarbon.
Kind of a unique release here also. Just a little flip of the wrist at the bottom. Doesn't do a lot to the ball. Very accurate. Keeps it in the pocket area.
So Thermocarbon has opened up a 9-pin lead through the first 6 frames of this first game of the 2-game match between Thermocarbon and Wagner Bowling Supplies. And we'll be back to the Peachtree Lanes in Atlanta in a moment. It's in the 6th spot from Tampa, Florida. Finishing all the way from East Point, Michigan in the 5th spot, SNB Pro Shop. Boy, that's quite a commute. And from Huntsville, Alabama, the unlucky McCorvey's Pro Shop out of Huntsville. They were only 5 pins out of our television finals. And that because, as you know, the Wagner's team, Mike Taylor threw 3 strikes in the 10th frame to make the telecast. Ken Wagner with a much-needed strike for Wagner Bowling Supplies. It's just the 2nd strike of this first game for Wagner's. And now here's Lenny Biondi. Another lefty, another one in the pocket, another strike for Thermocarbon. Their 2nd in a row in a 19-pin lead. So far, their 3 lefties have bowled 5 times, got 4 strikes and a 7-pin. So there is definitely a better shot on the left side of the lane. They are good players, but it looks like there's a little edge over there. That may prove to be the difference in this match. West crossing over. 2 in a row now for Wagner Bowling Supplies. They're smiling all around because that one wasn't in the pocket, but it counts on the scorecard. That's right. Now remember, I just got through saying how good the shot was on the left side of the lane. Here he goes, crossing over to the left side of the head pin. That's right. All right, the final left-hander for Thermocarbon, and we'll see if he can continue their assault on the pocket here. Brad Briggs a little bit high that time, leaving the 2-4. Well, I finally jinxed them, didn't I? Kept talking about how good they were playing the left side of the lane, and it must be real tough over there. That's probably what it is. All right, the 2. You can't have it both ways. Can't have it both ways. The 2 and the 4, difficult spare for a left-hander. A lot of ways, like I mentioned, to miss this kind of thing by chopping it. He's going down the left side, which makes it even tougher, and he picked it up perfectly. There's how these teams got here. Wagner Bowling Supply is actually the top qualifier through the earlier rounds coming into today's action, and then Thermocarbon made a nice move. You saw they were tied with Ebonite Crush R, and you see the match play record and the reason that Thermocarbon moved up the way they did.
Come on, ball. Come on.
Knocking out the 7-10 is Mike Taylor, leaving just the 10. And this is kind of what you call a rollout shot. This ball actually was cutting through the middle of the head pin, but because it rolled out, in other words, it lost its right to left energy and went straight back in the pit, he broke up the split. He was very lucky. Perfect on the 10 pit. And here's a look at it. Now watch the ball. It'll go down the lane, and just before it gets to the head pin, just watch the big hook. It will kind of straighten out. And that means roll out. It'll straighten out right there. And when it straightens out, you can see the pins go straight back, and that's why he didn't split. If the ball had continued to go right to left, the pins would have went right to left, and he would have left a split. Finishing up in the 10th frame. That was a better line, and a 198. Nice start for Wagner's Bowling Supplies. But even with the 198, they may fall behind. All right, here's another look at this young man. Now remember how he mentioned how he stands up at the foul line. We'll get a look at that on this shot.
He tends to stand straight up at the foul line, and that helps him with his leg strength to get the rotation, but also makes him pull a lot of shots.
Didn't pull that one.
No, he didn't pull that one. Well, he allows for it, but the tendency is for the ball to go a little high on the head pin when if he rushes just a hair to the foul line, it makes him stand up early and the ball is pulled right to left.
Thermocarbon will win this first game. No bonus points, though, here in this format for winning the game. Just trying to get the lead on Wagner Bowling Supplies heading into game 2.
Well, not only did Lisa become our first lady on the telecast, but she could also, if they were to win today, be our only lady possibly in the Reno championship. But that could change as we continue to get ladies teams entering the tournament. There's a very good possibility we could have 5 ladies qualify for the telecast and win and go on to Reno.
Why not?
Why
Two
not?
more stops here in the National Team Challenge Bowling Series. Well, that's just a 1-pin count. We'll see if that has a factor in the match itself as Thermocarbon wins the first game 206 to 198. They'll have an 8-pin advantage as they head into game 2. There's some other action here. The ABC MasterCard, the 2-game sweeper on Friday afternoon. Chris Hambrick of Orlando with a $491. Great prize fund all week long here at the Peachtree Lanes in Atlanta. And we'll be back with game 2 in just a moment. Even Thermocarbon takes an 8-pin advantage into game 2. And Mario Angelini is up first for Thermocarbon. A little bit light.
Yeah, as I mentioned before about Mario's game, he's a very accurate player. Doesn't get a lot of side turn on the ball, but because of his accuracy in the forward roll, he's a perfect leadoff man because he fills frames. He gets the spares for you, and he can line up the rest of the team. When he rolls the ball, you can watch it go down the lane, and by its reaction, get an idea of how the lane is. And that's what the team has him on top for.
And the regional manager for Brunswick is with us here today, Dan Kilpatrick. Beautiful facility here, the Brunswick Peachtree Lanes. They are to be proud of this outstanding facility.
I wonder who's president and who's vice president of Wagner Bowling Supplies. Do you think Lisa's the president or Kid?
Or maybe Cole.
There you go. It's a partnership.
That's right. After that, maybe Lisa's taken over.
Now that shot right there looks like the Lisa Wagner I've seen bowl for the last 10 years. That was typical Lisa Wagner. Hand to the pocket, not much hook, right over the 12 board. Look at the side rotation. Right there the ball goes into the roll, 10 pins in the pit. That's how Lisa bowls normally, folks. That's why she's going to be a Lady Hall of Famer.
3-time Lady Pro Bowler of the Year. And answering for Thermocarbon is Doug Becker. Boy, Becker has struck in all 3 of his frames.
You know what some people don't do, and it's very important to do, is regardless of which hand your player is bowling with, watch how the ball reacts. Even if you're a left-hander and you're watching a right-hander, you can learn a lot how the ball reacts all the way down the lane. If the ball, for example, right there hooks a lot for the right-hander, you know that when your ball gets 50 feet down the lane for you as a left-hander, it's going to hook too. And here's a look at that shot. The ball goes right over the 15 board, which is the 3rd arrow, but watch it at right there. It grips the lane and breaks very sharply. That means that that part of the lane is dry, and when you get up the bowl, you have to allow for that. This especially at this point when the teams have just switched lanes, and they must bowl the whole game on this lane. So when you follow that player, you know the lane is hooking a little more.
Probably even more important to watch in this Baker format because you don't get a lot of opportunities yourself to feel out those lanes.
Exactly, and that's why the teams sit on the bench and they talk to each other. They say, did you throw a good shot? If he says, yes, I hit what I was looking at, threw it the way I wanted to throw it, then you know the lane is different. He just didn't make a mistake, and you have to be honest. You can't get out there with a big ego and say, hey, I threw a great shot. The lane screwed me up. If you made a bad shot, admit it. At least your team doesn't have to pay the penalty for it. You have to help each other.
Biondi got a little bit fortunate, just leaving just the 5-pin, and picks up that spare. Well, the 8-pin advantage remains for Thermocarbon. As Kent Wagner checks in. You saw the first game scores there, 206 to 198, and here's what they have done through the first couple of frames here in the second game.
And he's playing just about the same place on the lane that his wife is. Throwing it hard.
And again, you see how it's hooking a little bit as it gets towards that head pin.
And see, I think, I honestly believe the fact that Thermocarbon has 3 left-handers on their team is an advantage in another way. Now, I'm not saying that they've got a big edge here. If they win, they'd obviously deserve to win. But what happens here is that Wagner's team, sitting on the bench, can't watch them and learn much about how that lane condition is going to react for them. They can learn a little, but not as much as they would if they were bowling with right-handers. So when they switch lanes, the lane condition is different than it is on lane 35. They have to learn. And there's a look at the spare shot by Kent Wagner. He almost threw it in the left-hand channel to get as much angle as he could at the spare to avoid the chop. And again, the left-handers for Thermocarbon hitting the pocket.
Boy, aren't they ever. Brad Briggs, a former Team USA player, with another strike for Thermocarbon in the 4th. Now West Pye will try to answer for Wagner Bowling Supplies. Wagner now down 11.
Well, let's see if he makes an adjustment. The only person for them to hit, for Wagner so far, to hit the pocket was Lisa. The other 2 players going high in the head pin or crossing over.
He did make the adjustment.
Excellent shot. Well, he's watched Lisa bowl a lot of times. Since he was the director on the ladies tour, he's learned a lot, I'm sure, watching Lisa. And there's the shot. Perfect 10 pins in the pit. Great shot. And the remainder of the sandwich, we've got a right-hander on top, a right-hander on the bottom, surrounding 3 left-handers. And here's the last right-hander for Thermocarbon. A lot of revolutions, the big hook, not enough.
And you see, when we're adding up the score plus 11, we're including the 8-pin advantage from that first game. So if you're a bit confused by the scoring, we want to remind you that Thermocarbon won that first game by 8, and we're adding that into our total. Todd Agee is looking down. One of the pins that has already fallen is still out there. So he'll have to wait to get a reset. Just the 2-pin remains. Away, Todd Agee converted on that 2-pin that was left. No problem there in the 5th frame. And then Mike Taylor on the 3-6-10. Not much of a problem here.
Well, he did make it a little bit exciting there, Dave.
Sure did. Well, you see now through 5 frames, Thermocarbon has opened up an 11-pin lead. Still anybody's match. Here's Mario Angelini. 6th frame, and a good start to the second half of this game for Thermocarbon.
And that's a big strike for their team because it leads with the strike right into the 3 lefties who have been hitting the pocket very well. They very easily could have a 4-bagger with that as the leadoff strike. And that could be the break of the match right there. The pin breaker break of the match.
All right.
But as usual, I'll probably be wrong. So let's see what Lisa does right here. Last time she was solid in the pocket.
Solid again. Oh, and doesn't trip out the 10. It's wiggling, but it won't go down.
And that's a shame because it's pretty hard to throw it any better than that. That's as good a shot as she made last time to get the strike. And her team really needed that effort right there to match the strike of Thermocarbon.
The 1980 LPBT Rookie of the Year, the all-time leading money winner with more than $500,000.
Lisa is, even though she is one of the greatest players of all time on the distaff side, it's pretty obvious that she is holding her own with the men all through the week.
I should say.
And that should be kind of a, I would think, an inspiration for other lady bowlers around the country to enter the National Team Challenge and show that, and show their skills too.
Well, her work is done now, and just to sit and watch the rest of her teammates. And here's Doug Becker, who has struck in each of the 3 frames he has thrown. Working on a strike. Make it 2 in a row.
And this is where Wagner Bowling Supply could really be in trouble. Coming into these 3 left-handers, all 3 of them bowling extremely well. It's going to be up to Wagner Bowling Supply to make some very good shots. The right-hand lane, lane 36 here at Peachtree Lanes, does hook quite a bit more than lane 35. And let's see if they've made the adjustment second time around here.
Come on.
And high.
No.
And the 3-pin.
Still to make the adjustment, and that was his last opportunity to help the team. Must fill the spare. So both times he bowled on lane 36. First time he crossed the head pin, this time went through the middle, but covered for the spares.
Well, Wagner still filling the frames with spares, but right now they're in need of some strikes. And as you see the score, as Thermocarbon has opened up a 23-pin lead. Working on 2 in a row. Here's Lady Bionde going for 3 in a row, but no. Leaves the 2-4.
And that is a big break for Thermocarbon that he did not split, leaving only the 2-4. A difficult spare, but not the impossible, obviously. But even bigger break for Wagner Bowling Supply, because again, the other lefty, the one coming up in the 9th frame, has been right there every shot. Could have been a 4-bagger. Now they get a break, only a spare.
And he converts the spare. But as you mentioned, Earl, a chance now for Wagner Bowling Supplies. Their last 3 bowlers remain: Kent Wagner, Wes Pye, and Mike Taylor. And it's Wagner first.
And Kent knows, he's very experienced. He knows he's almost in a must-strike situation here. He'll make a good shot.
And he didn't over.
And he didn't. I just can't believe that Kent didn't adjust better than that. He knows that lane is hooking more. We talked about it in practice. I listened to their team comments, even in practice before the telecast. That right-hand lane, lane 36, was hooking more. They talked about it. They said, we got to remember that when we get on the air. As soon as they got on it, they let it get away from them.
Oh, for the 9-pin, yes. But Wagner's saying, well, it's a nice spare, but we needed the big X.
22, is that the margin at this point?
Mm-hmm.
All right, this young man has bowled extremely well. And another break for Thermocarbon. And again, also a break for Wagner Supply. It could have been a split again for Thermocarbon, got away with it, leaving only the 4 and the 8-pin. Very easy spare for a left-hander.
One of the team members of Thermocarbon that was with them in St. Pete was not able to make it today. He and his wife, a new baby boy, a new addition to their family, so congratulations to them. And the spare in the 9th frame. A chance for Wagner again. If Wes Pye can strike here, maybe Mike Taylor can pull off his heroics again in the 10th frame. 20-pin lead for Thermocarbon. It's counting the 8 from the first game.
Well, the best that the Wagner Bowling Supply team can hope for is 412 for the combination of the two games, a total of 412. And that's exactly what Thermocarbon is going at right now.
Boy, a solid ball, but a solid 10.
And here's a look at that last shot. And as you can see by his reaction, he's very happy with the rotation of the ball. But see how it deflected there? He didn't really catch it all. You can see the ball deflect almost over to the 10-pin. So he didn't get everything on it that he wanted to. So he's kind of lucky he didn't leave the 8-pin with it. Be careful.
Oh,
now that's disaster.
That is disaster. An open in the 9th frame.
That could have been the match right there. And what a shame. That's a terrible way to lose if you're going to lose.
Wes Pye missing the 10-pin in the 9th frame. And now Todd Agee.
Looks to me like it's over.
Yep.
Unfortunately for Wagner Bowling Supply, and of course for Lisa.
Oh, and look at what happened.
Look at what happened.
Look at what happened.
Well, let's take a look here again. Now we reevaluate this thing. To me, it looks like the match is over, but we'll have to add up the scores here.
Right. They'll have a 190 if he gets 2.
Which would put him at 396.
Right.
And the most that Lisa's team can do is 380. Or 390, excuse me.
So they're going to win by 6 no matter what Wagner does. And they are going to Reno, Nevada, Thermocarbon.
And that makes Wes Pye feel even worse.
It sure
obviously.
does. Sure does. Mike Taylor, who pulled off some heroics and getting 3 strikes to get Wagner Bowling Supplies into the televised portion of our broadcast here. But right now it means little. Mike Taylor knows that even if he struck out there, they were going to lose. And Angelini and Doug Becker are congratulating each other. So the one time they missed out, Earl, they missed out by that 1 pin. This time they do not miss out. And it's Thermocarbon winning by 27 pins.
And you can see the reaction. The crowd's on its feet. Always enjoy the Baker System Championship. Thermocarbon, a very ecstatic team after, as you mentioned, losing by 1 pin, coming back here to be the champions.
Now they lost by that 1 in St. Petersburg, Florida. So to come back here in Atlanta, it's got to be very, very sweet for them. And they know not only will they win here, but they also will be able to go to Reno, Nevada, an all-expense-paid trip for their team.
And not only that, but the obviously first place prize here, $7,500, the championship rings, the Lynn shoes,
not bad.
All kinds of goodies.
Not bad at all. So congratulations to Thermocarbon. They come up with a 190-171 win in his second game and a 27-pin win overall over Wagner Bowling Supplies. We'll be back to crown the champion in just a moment. Today, how does it feel after losing in St. Pete?
I'll tell you what, we didn't want to have that long 8-hour ride back to Orlando again, losing by 1 pin, so we were all focused today and we made some good shots.
Well, you did make some good shots. When did you feel like you had this match in hand?
Never, because with the caliber bowlers, with the Wagners and the West Pie, they can throw strikes at any given time. So,
Earl Anthony was saying throughout the telecast that the left-handers on your team, the 3 left-handers, really gave you an edge. Did you guys feel that way?
I think it did. We all pretty much throw the ball alike, and we were able to get lined up off of each other all day.
And it's nice, too, to not only have the championship here, but to have a new member of your team. A baby was born while you guys were gone.
Our leadoff bowler who bowled with us in St. Pete, Todd Minotti, and his wife just had their firstborn a couple of weeks ago, so he wasn't able to be with us, but we'd like to send out our congratulations to him.
And congratulations, certainly. Larry Schaefer, the ABC president-elect, is with us. And, Larry, I know you have some very special presentations here.
Oh, yes, I do. And on behalf of the American Bowling Congress, it's more than a pleasure for me to present you with this plaque, Doug. And I know one of your team members from long time. Thank you.
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank John Boucher, our sponsor of Thermocarbon, who without his help we wouldn't be here today. Also, the ABC for putting on a great tournament. Brunswick here, Peachtree Lanes, the whole staff did a great job. Bellflower and Lynn Shoes for supporting this tournament. We have a great time doing it.
Well, speaking of Lynn Shoes, Wayne McDaniel, the general manager here at Peachtree Lanes. Wayne, step on in here, and you have a special presentation as well.
Yes, we have some Lynn Shoes for you, and congratulations to you guys. Y'all bowled well. It's been a great weekend of bowling. We appreciate the opportunity to host the tournament. Thank you.
We're not done yet, because Gary Anderson is here from ABC, and Gary, some nice, very nice rings.
Doug, on behalf of the American Bowling Congress and our 2.5 million members, I want to present you with the 5 championship rings emblematic of being champions in this tournament.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, you guys are going to Reno. How's that feel?
Great. It's we're ready to go.
It'll be a lot of fun, and a lot of these awards as well. And you had a lot of help from your team, and I want to bring in Brad Briggs. Brad, also one of your teammates and a member of the 1989 Team USA. And a lot of talk here in Atlanta with the Summer Olympics coming up here in a few years of maybe bowling being a sport in the Olympics. What are your views on that?
Well, I've been very honored to work with the United States 10-pin Bowling Federation and the Olympic Effort Group in trying to get bowling as a medal sport in the Olympics. We've reached a few milestones and we've made a lot of progress, and we'll be some sort of a presence here in 1996 in Atlanta. Hopefully we'll be a full medal sport in the year 2000.
That would really be terrific, wouldn't it? Bowling is such an international sport anymore, isn't it?
It sure is, and it's also very team-oriented, and some of the people that don't think bowling should be in the Olympics say that bowlers are not really athletes. All I can say to them is come out and bowl this tournament and you'll see what athletes are all about.
Yeah, no question. You guys really go under the pressure as well. As far as the Team USA experience, what was that like for you?
Oh, it's a tremendous concept. It gives you a lot of chance to travel around, meet a lot of people. You get to meet a lot of friends from foreign countries. And
No, I'm just very impressed with the way they performed. As you mentioned, under pressure, Dave, it was a fine championship round. I'm kind of disappointed that we won't see Lisa in Reno yet, but maybe they're going on to Baltimore. They're going to give it another shot.
Good.
It was interesting talking with this young man right here. He said that after Bob Hanley beat them in St. Petersburg, they have to bowl league with Bob Hanley. So they might get a little needle here and there. Is that possible?
Very much so. I think we bowl them every Monday night, and we're a real competitive group, and we're looking forward to being out in Reno with them. And look out, guys, we're coming to get you.
There you are. He says he's going to get even. Bob Hanley, look out.
All right, so the lefties come through here today. A tremendous win for Thermocarbon as they win here today. And our congratulations on to Reno. Next month, we'll be in New Jersey. For Anthony and our Prime Network crew, this is Dave Armstrong saying so long from the Peachtree Lanes in Atlanta. Hotel accommodations provided by the Northeast Atlanta Hilton. When staying in the Atlanta area, stay at the Northeast Atlanta Hilton. Join us next month when we'll be in North Brunswick, New Jersey for the 11th stop on the National Team Challenge Bowling Series. This has been an ABC Eagle Productions telecast.